Hi, I'm Samantha McDouglas from thebridgeteachers.com. Come look over my shoulder at a play problem. This is the option for this hand. If you want to take more time to look at it, feel free to pause the video. We're going to go ahead and move on. Our left-hand opponent led the two of diamonds. Now, before you ever play a card, I want you to assess the hand and come up with as complete of a plan as you are able to do so. And if you want to pause the video and go ahead and do that, that is fantastic. Please do. The more you can practice that, the better. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be focusing exclusively on the spade suit. And so we're going to go ahead and play the first trick. The person who held this hand ducked. His hand played the 10, and our hand played the queen. And now we're going to talk about the spade suit. So as you play bridge, you will see certain card combinations come up over and over and over again. And as you work through them and think about them and learn them, they become easier to handle. We're looking at the spade suit and the card combination in the spade suit. So when you see this combination of cards in your hand, hopefully you'll have a better idea of how to handle it. So let's go ahead and work through the spade suit. What two cards are we missing? The king and the 10. Now the king is a big card, and we pay attention to cards that have clothes on, like the king. But it's also important to note the 10, because the 10 is also going to affect how many tricks we can take in this suit. So any plan that we have for this suit, the 10 needs to be on our mind, and it needs to be involved in the plan. So we are absolutely going to finesse here, because we'd really like to take all 4 tricks. So we don't want to lose any tricks. So we're mindfully thinking, okay, I'm missing the king and the 10. How can I create 4 winners in this suit? How can I play the suit so that I don't lose any tricks? When we start thinking about a suit and how we want to play it, and in particular a finesse, one of the very first things we want to think about is, which hand do we want to lead from? So looking at the spade suit, which hand do we want to lead from? Our hand. If we start with the goal is to take 4 spade tricks, so we're trying to prevent the opponent's cards from winning, we need our ace to prevent the king from winning, which means we need the ace playing before or after the king. After. And that means that we want to lead from our hand. And our goal is to put the king in a position where it has to play before we choose whether or not to play the ace. And this way, if the king plays, we can play the ace, preventing it from winning. There's nothing we can do if the east hand has the missing card, if the east hand has the king, because the king then is playing after the ace. We can only have an effect on cards that play before our high cards, not cards that play after. So we've established that we're trying to prevent the king from winning. We're going to lead from our hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to lead the jack, and our left-hand opponent is actually going to play the king. And this is great because we're going to play the ace. Our right-hand opponent is going to play a spade. And now we have successfully prevented the king from winning. It's very easy to think, oh, I've accomplished my goal. I'm done. That's great. I stopped the king from winning. My queen is good. Let's do something else. No, we are not done. We have the queen, the 9, the 8, and the 7. The jack, the king, and the ace have already played. You can still see them on this trick right here. The only card that we're missing now is the 10. So the first thing I want you to be aware of is, if you lose a trick to the 10, you are creating winners. The queen is good right now. And let's say we led the 2 to the 7 and we lost the trick to the 10, the 9 would then be good. So we would be creating a winner by doing that. But do we have to lose a trick to the 10? Not necessarily. If the 10 is in west, we don't have to lose a trick to the 10. So assuming for a moment that the 10 is in west, how would you play the suit? Well, the first thing that we want to decide is which hand we want to lead from. So which hand do we want to lead from? We want to lead from the south hand, our hand, because we want the queen playing after the 10. So if we're thinking, okay, I'm really hoping that West has the 10 because that puts it in front of the queen. And this way I can force the 10 to play before I choose whether or not to play the queen. Because similar to trying to stop the king from winning with the ace, it is the queen that has the ability to stop the 10. The 9, the 8, and the 7 can't stop the 10 from winning. Only the queen can. So when we talk about which cards we want playing after which cards, in order to stop the 10, we need the queen playing after the 10. Because bridge goes clockwise, if East has the 10, there's nothing we can really do about that because East is playing after the queen. But if West has the 10, we can force West to make the decision before we make our decision. And in order to do that, we need to be leading from our hand. We are in dummy, and we need to lead from our hand to play spades. I don't want you to worry about the rest of this hand. Right now, we're just focused on the spade suit. So we're going to go ahead and lead a heart to our hand. And this may or may not be the optimal play on the hand, but it is the one that we're using right now just so that we can discuss the spade suit. Here we are. We're in our hand, and now it is time to finesse in spades. The 8 and 7 are equal value cards. Doesn't matter which one we lead, so we're going to go ahead and lead the 8. And when West plays the 6, what are we going to play from dummy? We're going to play the 2. This will work anytime that West has the 10. If East has the 10, there was nothing we can do about it, so don't worry about it. It is possible that the 10 is now singleton in East, but when we think about what is more likely, it is more likely that the 10 is in the West hand than it is that the 10 is specifically in the East hand and singleton. Because anytime the 10 is in West, this will work. Whether the 10 is singleton or there are multiple cards with it is irrelevant. So there are a lot of different scenarios where that will work. The only time that playing the queen works here is if the 10 is specifically singleton in East, and that's very rare. That's one out of all of our different scenarios. So we're going to play the 2, and it is going to work. We're going to go ahead and do it again. They're going to play the 10. We are going to play the queen. And now, how many spade tricks total in the hand will we take? 4. We've already taken 3 spade tricks. Our 9 is good, and that is going to make the 4th trick. Let's look at the whole hand. It's important when you consider the spade suit that you think about the 10 as well as the king. A lot of times when we're missing 2 cards, it's actually more successful when we finesse for both cards than it is when we finesse for only one. And this is an example of that. When we finesse for the king and we don't lose that trick, that's great. But we don't want to just play the queen and then concede the loss of the 10. We want to go ahead and try to not lose the 10 as well. And that is going to get you more tricks, which is going to get you a better score. So those 10s can be really important. Keep an eye on them. Thank you.